Hi y'all, this is Ginger with Ginger Snap Thrifting. Welcome back to my kitchen here in the old blue house I live in. Tonight I am working on a fruitcake. Now y'all, it's just been an incredibly crazy day and things are not going real well for me in the kitchen tonight. So I lost the first little bit of this video. So I'm just gonna tell you what I've got here and catch you up. But to start with, let me say that I am making a fruitcake recipe that I got from my sister-in-law, Tally Faye. And if y'all enjoy cooking videos and country cooking and southern cooking, y'all really should tune into her channel, In the Kitchen with Tally Faye. She is so funny. She does such unique recipes and some old-time favorites. And I'm gonna tell you that watching her video is like just being right there in the kitchen with her. I have spent hours sitting in her kitchen watching her cook and talk to me about what she's cooking, and I'm here to tell you this is her. This is her personality. But the other night she made a fruitcake and I wrote the recipe down because it was different. It was a different kind of fruitcake than what I'd ever made. And I'm gonna tell you, I know fruitcake gets a bad rep. I like a good fruitcake. It's not something you should cut a huge wedge of. It's something you should have a little slice of with some hot tea or some coffee or something. So I've been wanting to make a fruitcake for Christmas for a while, and I decided to make this one. But I'm gonna put my own little spin on it because that's just what I do. So to catch y'all up, I've got a big bundt pan, and this is a heavy aluminum one. And I sprayed it with Baker's Joy. Got in all the little crevices. If you don't have Baker's Joy, you could spray it with the oil spray and then flour it, or you could butter it and flour it. But you have to put something on this pan to keep it from sticking. And then I've got my dry ingredients put together. I've got 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, not powder, and about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now her recipe didn't call for salt. I told y'all in my last cooking video that, you know, salt is a flavor enhancer. It just adds a little something. And a lot of the times, if it's not in there, your finished product will taste flat. That's not to say it needs to be salty. It's just that the right amount of salt just gives it a little boost. All the other flavors a little boost. So I added 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now in this bowl, I've got 2 eggs beaten, blended in with a 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk. And I've just got the store brand sweetened condensed milk. I've got my whisk and I'm whisking it up. So I'm gonna tip this camera down, so you can see what I'm doing on the workbench here, and hopefully I can show y'all how to make this delicious sounding fruitcake. Okay. All right. Now, I've got these wet ingredients mixed up. To these wet ingredients, I am going to add 1/4 cup of oil. And this is grapeseed oil. It doesn't have to be grapeseed oil. It could be canola oil. It could be whatever kind of oil you like to use. If you use olive oil, I would make sure I used extra virgin olive oil. If you like walnut oil, you could use that. Just whatever oil you like. The original recipe did not call for this, but a little oil will help a cake stay more moist. So there's my oil in there, 1/4 cup of oil. Now, I'm going to add, I've got here 2 cups of chopped candied cherries and 2 cups of pineapple. And you see, I just got this kind. And the cherries, you'll either get red or green. I got a container of each. Oh, well, Good thing the lid was on that. I got a container of each, and I took about half out of each one. And I chopped them kind of coarse because they come out, they're whole cherries if you've never bought them. And I didn't want big hunks of cherries, so I cut them up a little bit. You see how it's kind of cut up. So I'm going to add that. Here we go. And I'm going to add something a little extra. This is candied orange peel. Now, be careful with this because a lot of the time you'll see candied fruits for cakes or something like that. And when you look at the ingredients, it's citron. Now, a citron, see, this is really little chunks of orange peel that have been candied. And I tasted it, and it tastes like orange peel that's been soaked in syrup. I'm gonna put about half this container in here. When you get that other stuff, that citron, it's bitter. A citron is a, excuse me, it's a fruit that looks like a ginormous grapefruit, kinda. And it's real bitter. And the whole thing is peel. There's no, you know, like a grapefruit or an orange or a lemon, they have the segments in them and all. There's hardly no peel in these things. And so they're real economical to make, to grow for the peel. But it's bitter, y'all. It's so bitter. And if you've had a grapefruit, you know the membrane and the white pith of the peel, you know how bitter that is? That's what these things taste like. They are no bueno, in my opinion. I don't like them. Okay, I'm going to pause y'all just for a moment. All right, I'm back. Next to my wet ingredients, I'm going to add a generous cup of chopped walnuts. If you like. Now, if you don't like nuts, don't put them in there. If you want to make a fruit cake, but the food-colored cherries kind of grosses you out, just use pineapple. Just use orange peel. You put in what you like. All right, but now this is a requirement. Tally's recipe called for 28 ounces of mincemeat. So all I could find were these little 11-ounce jars. So I'm gonna put 2.5 jars of mincemeat in here. Now, what is mincemeat? Don't wig out. Mincemeat really isn't that nasty. Mincemeat is a combination of apples, currants, raisins. Some mincemeat will have some alcohol in it, some rum or whiskey or something. This does not. Sweeteners. This is actually Tiptree mincemeat, and I think it's from Wilkins and Sons Limited, and I think it really might be a product of England. You see if it says on here. Brands of Britain LLC, imported by Brands of Britain in San Ramon, California, made in the UK. So, why is it called mincemeat? It does not have any meat in it. But original mincemeat had suet in it. And actual suet is the fat from lambs or beef that's around their loins and their kidneys. It's a real hard fat. So, you know, it used to have suet in it, and sometimes you'll see recipes that call for suet, especially British suet. Actual English pudding, Christmas pudding, still calls for suet. It's real hard to get suet in this country. And I've actually never worked with it. But used to, they take, you know, apples were pretty cheap, and Raisins and currants were, you know, they didn't have refrigeration, but they had dried fruits. So they'd have dried apples and dried raisins and currants and such. And maybe some other dried fruits. And they'd mix it all together and they made pies and cakes and stuff out of this. Suet was real valuable. It replaced butter, which might be hard to come by or expensive in certain households. And it gave energy to people through the winter. They could, you know, fat has a lot of calories in it, and so it was real useful for energy, especially when people, you know, didn't have central heating air like we have and cooling and they couldn't just go to the thermostat. Maybe they had one little coal burner in the whole house and they all had to huddle around that. Well, it was real good to eat things that gave them extra energy in the winter. Kind of like you see out in the wild, you see bears putting on fat before they hibernate. You see the squirrels storing up nuts for the winter, and you see a lot of the wildlife putting on a layer of fat before winter comes in the colder climates. Okay, now you see this is a real thick batter. See how thick that is? It's real thick. Now I'm going to add in my flour and soda. And I'm going to put it in a little bit at a time because I'm going to have to work it in here, I think. So that's about half of it. So I actually have made mincemeat before. When we had our bakery, we started out as a jam and pickle company, but there was a big need for organic baked goods in the area we lived in then. But we made mincemeat. I made mincemeat pies. The old timers love mincemeat. A lot of people don't like mincemeat. It's got a real strong, mincemeat pie is a real sharp, pungent flavor. It's rich. It's super rich. You can imagine all those raisins. You know, raisins kind of have a sharp flavor. Well, mincemeat's just full of raisins. So, a lot of people don't like it. My mama loved mincemeat pie. She loved it. And I liked it. And she and I were the only two that liked it. Well, lots of times when we were going to get to be together at a holiday, we would make one. I don't know that we ever really finished one. Nobody else was going to eat it. My brother was not going to eat it. I had 3 brothers, and I don't think any of them were going to eat mincemeat pie. And I don't remember if Daddy ate it or not, but he died when I was 17. So that was really before I was in charge of making too many holiday meals. So I don't know if he was a mincemeat eater, but I know Mama loved it. And I like it, but it's got to be good mincemeat. So this looks like it's really good mincemeat. And I believe the mincemeat in this is going to make this really flavorful. Most fruit cakes have a bunch of different spices in them. Well, the spices are all in the mincemeat. Most fruit cakes you put sugar in it. Well, we've got sweetened condensed milk, and we've got the mincemeat, which has got a sweetener in it. All right, we're almost there, y'all, almost there. You don't have to worry about over mixing this because it's stiff enough. You're not going to over mix it. All right, I'm going to pause this. I'm going to finish mixing this. I'm going to get my pan out so I can show y'all how I put this in the pan. Well, all right, y'all. I did cut me a little circle out of parchment paper and put it down in there and sprayed it again. And now I'm going to start putting this cake on here, this cake batter. This is a thick, thick batter. So I'm going to put it in here. Just the best I can. And y'all may be wondering what I'm going to do with half a jar of mincemeat. Well, tomorrow I'm going to try a new recipe. We love pecan pie, but it's really rich, and even a small slice is really rich, and we're going to have a lot of other nibbles and tasty treats. So I like pecan tassies. Okay, pecan tassies are made in little mini muffin pans and have a cream cheese crust. One of my daughters doesn't like cream cheese, and so she doesn't get to have pecan pie if it's in cream cheese crust. So I am going to attempt to use a sugar cookie dough and form it into the crust in the little muffin cups, and then put the pecan pie filling in there. And we have a pecan pie recipe that my grandmother designed years and years ago, because my daddy, although he loved pecans, he did not like the syrupy part of pecan pie. And y'all know what I'm talking about? You fork up a bite and the syrup kind of stretches out. And he didn't like that, although he likes syrup on pancakes and biscuits and what have you. He did not really like syrup in his pecan pie. And if y'all have ever made a pecan pie, a traditional pecan pie is made with corn syrup. So my grandma devised a recipe. It's kind of like a chess pie, if you know what that is, with pecans in it. And so that is the recipe we've always made. Even after he passed, that was just the recipe we made. That was the recipe Mama had to make pecan pie, and that's what we made. So I'm going to make that filling, which I have made and put in the standard tassies before. It works just fine. So I'll be working on that tomorrow night, and I will make a few little mini mincemeat I guess you call them tassies with the rest of this mincemeat. So that'll go in the fridge until tomorrow. Now, this cake's ready to go in the oven. See, it filled this up quite a bit, but there's not a whole lot of leavening in here, and this is a heavy cake. It's not gonna rise a whole lot. So I'm gonna put it in the oven. Tally said the recipe needed to bake at 300 for, where's it at? For about 2 hours. She said start checking it in 1 hour and 45 minutes. So I'm gonna put this in the oven, and I'll be back with y'all when I get this thing out. Well, okay, y'all, the cake baked for 1 hour and 40 minutes, and it was starting to pull away from the pan, so I took it out and tested it with a skewer, and the skewer came out clean. See how it's pulling away a little bit? It smelled so delicious. So then I let it cool for 10 minutes, and now I'm going to attempt to turn it out on this wire rack. And I'm really hoping it'll come out of this pan, y'all. Yay! It came out. Let me turn this down so you can see. Okay, there it is. Just need to peel my paper off of it. And there we have it. So I'm gonna let this sit here and cool a little longer. And while it's cooling, I'm gonna make a glaze. I'm gonna make the glaze out of an orange and some sugar. Let me just cut this orange in half. So I've got this little orange. I've got my little vintage juicer here. And I'm just gonna juice this real quick. What I'm gonna do is cook up a simple syrup. So a simple syrup, a basic simple syrup is equal amounts sugar and water. But I wanted my simple syrup to be citrus flavored. So, I'm just gonna juice this. Do y'all have these little juicers? They are so easy to use, y'all. I mean, I would not want to be trying to juice enough orange juice for breakfast on one of these, okay? I guess people used to, which is probably why they had those little bitty juice glasses. You know what I mean? All right, let me get a measuring cup. So I'm gonna pour this into my measuring cup here. And I've got about 1/8 of a cup. I'm gonna add enough water to make a 1/2 cup of liquid. Okay, so I've got 4 ounces of orange flavored liquid here. Put this in my saucepan. And I'm going to add 1/2 a cup of sugar, granulated sugar. All right. So this is what I have. Now I'm gonna put this on the stove. I'm gonna cook it and stir it until it comes to a boil. And then I'm gonna turn it down and let it simmer for 3 minutes. And when it's finished, we'll be ready to glaze our cake with it. Okay, I've got the simple syrup done. You see it's kind of a pale orangey yellow color. It does taste slightly of oranges. Now what I'm gonna do is just use this little brush and just kind of paint it on here. If I pour it on, it's gonna all run off. And that's not what I want. I want it to just kind of soak in and kind of seal the outside edge of this cake. So I'm not gonna ask y'all to sit and watch me do this. I'll be right back when I'm finished putting the glaze on. Well, here it is, y'all. I glazed it. It took a little more than half of the glaze I made. I set it up on a more bulky rack because this little wimpy rack I had was sagging in the middle, and I really wanted good air flow underneath it so it'll cool faster. Well, y'all, I'm gonna go have a seat and let this thing cool. If it cools down enough to cut tonight, I'll cut it. Otherwise, I will cool it overnight, and I will let you know in the morning how it turned out. And while I'm thinking about it, I want to let y'all know that I absolutely misspoke in the ingredients for this recipe. There are not 2 cups of pineapple and 2 cups of cherries. There are 2 total cups, 1 cup of cherries and 1 cup of pineapple, and then about half a cup of the orange peel on top of that. Well, good morning, y'all. It's Christmas Eve morning. I was tired last night and I just could not hang until this fruitcake cooled, so I let it cool overnight, and now we're gonna cut it and have it with a cup of tea, which is the way a fruitcake should be served. Fun fact, did you know that fruitcake is a traditional wedding cake in the UK? I'm gonna turn the camera down so you can watch me cut the cake. All right. Got it in my little cake, my domed cake plate. My kids got me this for Christmas one year. So it's got lots of the simple syrup on it, and I'm using, y'all, a bread knife to cut this because this is a dense cake. A bread knife has this serrated blade, and you can kind of saw it, and it cuts through really well. And now remember, fruitcakes by nature are supposed to be dense and coarse because they're full of nuts and fruits and all that. So I'm gonna put the saucer right here. Get my little cake out. Look, y'all. You see all the fruits and the nuts in it? You see the reds and the greens. What do y'all think? Now we're going to take this in the dining room and we're going to enjoy this with a cup of tea. Let me pause this and I'll be right back with you. Well, okay, got my table set. Go sit down and enjoy this fruitcake, y'all. I've got my cup of tea. This is a lemon ginseng tea. It's a nice herbal tea. I've already had lots of coffee today, so I didn't think I needed any more. And here's our fruitcake. Let's have a bite. It's thick. That's good, y'all. I can taste the mincemeat, the spices. I can taste the orange. That's going to be from a combination of the candied orange peel and the orange simple syrup I put on it. The fruits are nice and chewy. The nuts are what nuts should be in a baked good. Tasty. Let's try it with a sip of this tea. That lemon ginseng is really a good accompaniment, great accompaniment with this fruitcake. Now, as you know, some people can find that fruitcake's just a little bit dry. This is not dry for a fruitcake. It's not. I wouldn't lie to y'all that that mincemeat keeps it from being dry. But a nice accompaniment to this, I think, would be a little orange marmalade on it, y'all. I'm gonna try it with a little orange marmalade. Not that it's dry. Let me promise you it is not dry. Y'all, I love orange marmalade. I just think it's so tasty. And this is Smucker's Natural, so it doesn't have that nasty high fructose corn syrup in it. So let's try it with a little bit of the orange marmalade. It really takes it up a notch. I mean, it's really good like it is. On a cold winter morning, heat this up a little bit in the microwave, put a little smear of butter on it and some orange marmalade. Man. Now, If you typically eat a pastry for breakfast, a donut, a Pop-Tart, a toaster strudel, or whatever, this would be a nice replacement. And this is just kind of a basic fruitcake recipe, y'all. It's a lot easier than the original ones because the mincemeat covers a whole lot of the ingredients you would normally add. You could do whatever you wanted to with it. You could add some little mini chocolate chips. You could put a white glaze over it, just whatever you wanted. Well, y'all, I do want to show y'all, since you like to watch my thrifting, I want to show y'all my little cup and saucer. This little saucer, let me wipe that up. This is a vintage little saucer I thrifted. Can y'all see? This is from Heritage Mansion in Nashville, Tennessee. This is the home of Thomas Jefferson, one of the early presidents of the United States. And this is like a commemorative cup, but it's a vintage cup. It's been around a long time. Can y'all see the pretty embossing on the sides of that cup? I don't usually use my collectible cups, but you know, it's the holidays. Let's break out something pretty. Let's celebrate, right? I've always been a tea drinker, y'all. I love a good hot cup of tea. Well, all right, that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks so much for hanging with me. I'll probably only do one more video between Christmas. I promised y'all I would show you some of my thrifted home decor for the holidays, and I'll be doing that later today and this evening. And I'll try and get that up before we get too busy this evening. Our younger college girl has already rolled into town. She's over at her mama's house. My daughter, who isn't a college girl anymore, she finished her degree in the summer. So she will be coming in tomorrow sometime to spend the holidays with us. And we're just gonna have a great family time. I hope that your holiday is blessed. You'll see I've got my reindeers on. I've got my reindeer earrings on. Reindeer shirt. But listen, we love the fun of the holidays, but let's just try and take a minute to remember the real reason of the babe that was born, that we celebrate on this night, his birth, to give us freedom. To count your blessings, whatever your beliefs are. Count your blessings. Think about how blessed you are. Be kind. Call somebody who may be lonely or may not be as blessed as you are, and just wish them the best. Until we talk again, this is Ginger with Ginger Snap Thrifting.